loss biscuits that you can have. And I'm going to explain why. Obviously, recently we went absolutely mega viral yesterday with a video on Parle-G biscuits in the supermarket. And it was super, super great to see a lot of people with lots of good memories about the biscuits and how they have it all of the time, and it being like a social norm and dipping it in the biscuits, and some people are giving it to their dogs for food, which is crazy, by the way. But either way, I want to talk about how they can be utilized in a fat loss diet, if you should, when you should, and why not to be scared of all of these words like biscuit on a diet, or how can you have that. And I want to take away some like scaremongering, some fearfulness, because obviously in the comments you get a lot of things, oh, don't eat this stuff, it's processed food. Well, most food is processed. If you're going to live your life like that, you're going to be a boring fuck. And you're going to have very big issues with the element of eating food on a diet and getting in shape. Because most about staying in shape is actually having food flexibility and food control. So that's really, really important. So when we look at Parle-G being a biscuit and the differences between that being that biscuit and a digestive, I thought I would give you just some understanding of like where it ranks and how it's different to other biscuits, just from a simple fact perspective. Parle-G is basically lower calories than shortbread biscuits, because generally shortbread biscuits and digestive biscuits have higher butter content. Obviously Parle-G is cheaper and they're made with high sugar, which is the element of why it would be potentially cheaper. So the 450 calories for 100 grams of Parle-G and 100 grams shortbread is 500 calories. So by proxy, the calories is lower, which means you will get more Parle-G for shortbread if you're going to have biscuits, and you want to compare the two for the two. Digestive biscuits and Parle-G are around about the same calories, but Parle-G has 37 grams of sugar, whereas digestive biscuits have 16 grams of sugar. But also digestive biscuits have 20 grams of fat, and Parle-G has 15 grams of fat. But the way I say this is because most people don't think you can eat this on a diet, and they're very, very scared of doing it, or they're equally overutilizing things like this and falling off their diet. The battle between fat loss and getting in shape long term, and also making sure that your results actually stick, is finding the balance between flexibility and constraint. Light and dark. There's always a battle between high discipline, high motivation, low motivation, and having this battle between how much flexibility, like eating biscuits on a diet, versus saying no to all of these things. What are the merits? What are the processes? Why would you utilize that? And most importantly, it's important to know that you have a choice, and it's important to know you can have these things on a diet. The Parle-G biscuits, the chicken biryanis, the paneers. My life's work is helping people eat traditional Indian food and getting in shape and eating whatever they really want in terms of any food sources. So it's important to know, from being a dieter in your shoes, you have to be able to understand you can eat various different foods. You can have all of the spoils of the niceties. You just have to learn the reasons, how much you can have of it, the portion sizes, so that you can have much more of a varied approach when it comes to your control. Now, the reason why flexibility of eating like Parle-Gs and digestives and chicken biryanis on a diet is really important is because if you don't have that freedom, you feel restricted. And when you feel restricted, you feel hard done by. You feel like, it's miserable, it's negative, it's crap. And you build up a negative association with dieting, which then leads to not doing it for long enough, not being consistent, and actually then sending you into a spiral of yo-yo dieting, and restriction leads to overconsumption longer term. So as a dieter, you need to know that you can have these foods. It's all about whether you choose to have them or not. So, for example, I recently went to London, and there's a really, really nice croissant place there called Gales. And Gales has this amazing almond croissant that has Nutella in the middle of it. And I've wanted one. Sarah was giving me the, oh my God, this is amazing type of speech. And I tried it. I wanted to have it on one day, and I'm dieting right now. I've got a photo shoot in 6 weeks. I'm going to the Maldives. So I was like, fuck, I need to go get in shape. So I took some calories out and I made room for this almond croissant with chocolate in. But the problem is like, it was amazing for the first 5 minutes and 10 minutes, but I'd sacrificed quite a lot of food to be able to have that and still get results. So I ended up being hungry later in the day from like 9, 10, 11, 12. I ended up being super hungry, even though I had the treat, the enjoyment, the almond croissant from Gales. And it's important to know that I still lost weight on that day and that week because I factored it in with my food. But I was miserable for the rest of the day because I had sacrificed quite a lot of hunger, appetite, my normal staple meals for this nice piece of enjoyment. And some days that can take you off track more than it can pull you on track. Some days you need that flexibility to be able to say, yes, I can have an almond croissant. But some days having the almond croissant makes you fall off track further because you are hungry and driven by your hunger behaviors. Whereas the next day after that, I was put in the situation again where I was like, oh, should we go to that place or have that almond croissant again? Because we were working from this girl's cafe, so it was always present. And the second day I decided not to and just have my normal quote unquote breakfast, which is high voluminous. And when you're dieting, you want to spend your food as much as you can in the best way. So you don't want to be spending, high levels of calories on small amounts of dense food because you're going to be hungry. And that's one of the biggest staples of a diet, is to avoid hunger as much as you can. Some days you would rather be hungry less. Some days you would rather have the flexibility. And playing on that pendulum is a really important part of dieting, because without it, you will be on one end of the spectrum. You'll be super restricted, or you'll just chase all this flexibility and you'll always overconsume calories because you can't control your hunger. There's a balance between the two that actually comes into that. And that's where like the Parle-G biscuits, that's where the chicken biryanis come in. That's where all of the homemade traditional food comes in, is that you can have this food, but there are trade-offs to every food that you eat when you are in a calorie deficit and you are dieting. And some of them are much more worse than the taste of the Parle-Gs, for example. For example, I'm dieting today. I could have anything for breakfast, but I've chose something filling for breakfast because I'm just fed up of being hungry when I'm dieting. So I've chosen oats, berries, protein powder, because it's a high voluminous food source. Like, it gives you a lot more volume for the amount of calories than having, 4 or 8 Parle-G biscuits, or 1 aloo paratha. I'd rather have fullness and not be miserable and hungry throughout the day, and maybe once a week have an aloo paratha, or have pani puri or chai and Parle-G biscuits, whichever it is. And that's what I teach my clients. It's like, we can teach you how to have this stuff, but you should also know when not to have it and when the right time is, because it's going to either throw you off, or it's going to put you 10 steps backwards, or it's actually going to facilitate and make it even better. So that's the biscuit side of things all sorted. I think for me personally, having gone to that shop the other day, there's a lot more videos that are coming out very soon that you'll really, really enjoy about that shop and the past times that I've been. So you should want to say no and learn self-constraint when it comes to things like Parle-Gs and digestive biscuits. One of the biggest commonalities between those that stay in shape long term, and this is research based, is they have a level of self-restraint. We can't get around it. We can't come to terms. It's like, if you do not have constraint, or what we call discipline right now, you have to learn it to a degree to get the results that you want. People can make things easy, and hopefully you'll see that from my page. I help people make it easy, eating the traditional food, eating mum's cooking, going out socially, drinking alcohol, teaching you how to. At some point, there is always a threshold for action that you'll need to take that is discomforting and maybe requires some discipline. And having the element of discipline and using it, one of the best ways that I learned discipline was actually through digestive biscuits. Grab a pack of digestive biscuits and go and play PlayStation, and just play PlayStation and eat my digestive biscuits. And then I became fucking 85 kilos at 5'4". And that wasn't suitable for, who I was. Biscuits because I eat it all the time. I'm like, how hard have you tried to sit in front of biscuits and not eat them? Because I was teaching one of my clients, Phoebe, last week, was where we call it controlling your urge. The moment and take the reactivity away. So the biscuits are there. I want to have them. Oh, I should do this. I should do that. And you want to increase the time frame that you're having between the biscuit being there and you taking the biscuit. That's how you create discipline. You don't create discipline by being, bro, don't have it. It's out of sight, out of mind. You create discipline by having digestive biscuits, Parle-Gs, biryani, extra roti, paratha, aloo parathas on a table, and standing in front of them, sitting in front of them, and increasing the gap between you being there and you eating them. That's what discipline is. And if you think of discipline as that, you will be able to increase that by seconds and minutes and hours. And that's all you have to do to increase your discipline is like, hey, I want a biscuit. Okay. The mindset that you need to be able to have things like Parle-G, digestive biscuits, chicken biryani on a diet, it's that you can have it, and it's really important that you know you can have it, but there are times in which having that food requires you to sacrifice hunger, energy, and mood. And sometimes when you're on a diet, your energy and your hunger are two things that you don't want to fuck with for a long period of time, because it will make it hard for you to stick to that diet long term. So you can have it, but choose wisely when you're going to have it. I suggest having it once a week, like the Parle-G biscuits, or having it once on a weekend if you're having like a meal out or something like that, and compromise around it. But don't make a day where you're compromising every day just to be able to have these things, because at some point you're going to be like, oh, I'm hungry, I can't stick to a diet. It's like, well, that's the reason why you can't get your results. It's because you're not taking care of your hunger, which is really, really important. And I'll do another segment on that too. So guys, have a lovely rest of your day. Chat to you soon.